Hello, and welcome to episode 197, all about the LEGO Lord of the Rings video game, being the 197th part of That's What I'm Talking About. Hello, my name is Mary Clay. If that's too complicated for you, just call me MC. I've been experiencing the world of Tolkien for the first time, and right now I'm doing whatever I want to, including playing and finishing, finally, the LEGO Lord of the Rings video game. This week, I am joined by BrickLi. Welcome!
Hello, I'm super excited to join this awesome podcast about the LEGO Lord of the Rings video game, and I can't wait to give some commentary on that. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you are... Actually, no, I won't say you're the first official LEGO fan creator, because I've had a lot of people on who also enjoy LEGO, but I've been trying to contact a bunch of LEGO creators, and I'm so glad I finally got someone on, because there's a whole community of LEGO creators that I had no idea even existed. So it was really fun to kind of go down this rabbit hole and try and reach out to people and see who was interested. And then, I found you, and I found your channel, and you make some really cool, fun stuff. So if you want to tell the listeners a little bit about what it is that you do and create and make content about.
So basically what I do is make videos about LEGO in general, but more particular about LEGO Lord of the Rings. I've been making videos for around 3 years now. It's the main theme on my channel, and for some time I've been building mocks, which means my own creation. It's something where you just build something yourself and just with your own part collection without instructions, and that's what I do with regards to multiple locations from the Lord of the Rings. So currently I'm working on some other projects which are going to come soon, but I've also built the Fellowship of the Ring in LEGO, also the Black Gate of Mordor, which is just a huge project.
Yeah, that sounds huge.
Yeah, it took around 50,000 LEGO pieces and around 500 hours of work. So that's really something serious. Yeah, it took a long time, but yeah, it's really fun to just work on building the Lord of the Rings in LEGO. It's just such a big world, and I mean, the only way you can really capture that is with this plastic toy called LEGO, So
that's I was talking a couple episodes ago, I think, about how it seems like there's such a missed opportunity with LEGO to create specific, Lord of the Rings sets, and they did just release the Rivendell set, and there have been, a couple other sets, here and there, but definitely, it seems like Star Wars is really their main bread and butter. I feel like I'm not even in the Star Wars fandom, and I know that there's tons of Star Wars Lego sets. So I think, to me, building one of these, getting the Rivendell set with all these baggies and instructions and everything, that seems complicated enough to me. But the fact that you and several other creators too are just I'm gonna make the Black Gates just out of from scratch, no instructions. I need to find the specific pieces that I need to create that. So that's even more impressive to me.
Thank you. Well, just to humble myself, it's in fact quite easy if you're getting the hang of it. Back in the day when I was a 12-year-old, I believe even before that, I started collecting LEGO Lord of the Rings around 2012. Back then I was, let me think here, I was 9 years old. So I started collecting, and then the sets came out, and I was watching YouTubers already building mocks, and I thought, that's impossible for me to do. But then I started working on the Black Gate, and I just thought, well, there's one problem you should tackle, which is just a shortage of pieces. And when you have enough pieces, you can create anything. So it's just getting enough pieces, and then you can just build whatever you want, basically.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of LEGO. That's what makes LEGO so cool and fun. Also, for myself and the listeners, why don't you tell us about how you got into Lord of the Rings? I'm assuming it was the movies, but some people are really crazy and are I walked into my middle school library and checked out the Silmarillion. So how did you get into Tolkien and Lord of the Rings?
So that's a funny story. Basically, when I was it was a bit late into the movies and such, because my mom wanted to show them off earlier, but I was afraid of Gollum. So the first time she showed it to
Mm-hmm.
me, I was afraid of the Gollum scene within the prologue. So I couldn't bear to watch it back then. So after a little while, when I was 7 years old, I got sick. I was at home from school. And then I just watched The Lord of the Rings, basically all three movies in one go, and it was the best thing ever. So that's how I got introduced. And then ever since then, I've been watching the movies. So for 5 years long, I binge watched them. And then finally, Lego released sets, so I could just play with my favorite heroes and such. But yeah, just the first time discovering it, it was just binge watching. And I, up till 2020, didn't read the books, so I'm still reading them. Not too big of
Hey,
a
no
reader.
problem. I started this podcast just by going chapter by chapter.
Oh wow.
And that's how you have to do it, I think, with Lord of the, I mean, that's obviously how you read anything, is chapter by chapter.
Exactly.
But if read it, I always say that you don't have to read the books to be a Lord of the Rings fan, because I think they did the movies so well, and there's so much content just with the movies to consume and to learn about, that you could spend a whole lifetime just doing that. And the books are dense and hard to read. So so I always say you don't have to read the books, but if you decide to read the books, there's no shame in going slow and taking it steady. It's a lot to take in, and sometimes it's better just to take it in when you're ready for it, rather than like zooming through and missing stuff.
Yeah. It's also with the books. I don't know if you noticed that while reading them, but within my book, there's within the Fellowship of the Ring, I still got to read the Fellowship of the Ring fully. I read only part one, but when I discovered that the book is 2 parts, I was like, wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
Because with I believe only the extended version, there's also 2 discs. So I thought that was quite a nice connection. 2 books, 2 parts of the books anyway, and 2 discs for the first movie, and then also for the other parts.
Yeah.
Quite interesting.
And funny story, I was at one of the public libraries in my city was having a book sale of all of their old books, I guess, that haven't been checked out in a while, and like it was a lot to go through, but they also had movies and VHS tapes as well. And my friend and I found Return of the King on VHS, and that was released on 2 tapes, because the movie was so big it couldn't be contained just on 1 tape.
Wow.
And it was just kind of a fun reminder of the past, that big move, like the Titanic movie also was released on 2 parts on 2 VHS tapes, and it was just kind of like a funny reminder of the past and how far we've come, and also about how long Return of the King is.
Yeah, it's a crazy movie as well with the extended editions. And you mentioning the Titanic also reminds me of something of King Theoden. That's something interesting, because I actually met him last week at Comic-Con. So
oh, no way. Oh,
yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, because I always I forget that he the actor Bernard Hill.
Yeah.
Is that his name? Yeah. Played the captain in Titanic as well. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Was he, I mean, I'm assuming these actors who opt in to do, Comic Cons and meet and greets and stuff, I'm assuming that they're nice, but how was it? Was he cool?
He was really down to earth, and we talked about Lego. Yeah.
That's
we talked
awesome.
about, he also wished me good luck with building Edoras. So that's something I'm working on right now. And it was really fun talking to him about Lego and the movies in general, because I gave him the opportunity to choose a location I had to build where he's, of course, portrayed in the movie. And he chose Edoras because it's just a location where King Theoden is featured for the first time. And he thought it was important to build that in Lego. So I'm honoring that of King Theoden. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Can't wait to see what you do with that.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, sweet. Let's dive into these last couple levels of the Lego video game.
All right.
It's really funny because we just talked about how lengthy Return of the King is, and then at this point in the game, they're just really rushing through to get to try and squeeze every last ounce of the essential plot and like boil it down to the bare minimum, and so they're just really like breezing on by with how they adapted it for the video game. So the first level of this part is the Battle of Pelennor Fields, and when we last saw Gandalf and Pippin, they had run off to Minas Tirith. And I was convinced that there was going to be a level where you have to go around and light the beacons because there's so many elements in the video game where you have to light a fire. And so I thought for sure there would be something like that. I was like, how are they going to adapt the Pyre of Denethor and Denethor just in general, and sending Faramir off to face his own death? And the answer is that they didn't do any of that. They just skipped right over it. Denethor is not a part of this story, and I completely understand why. It's a very dark part of Lord of the Rings, and they're trying to keep it lighthearted. They're trying to keep it kid friendly, to the point that in one of the earlier scenes in Fellowship of the Ring, instead of when the hobbits are in the Prancing Pony and Pippin says it comes in pints, they have like mugs of like chicken legs instead of beer. So they don't even have beer in these games.
Yeah.
So setting yourself and your son on fire and going insane, probably not easy to adapt in Lego. So I understand why that was cut.
Yeah, just for Denethor in general, I personally, for the level, if they would have created a level for Minas Tirith, I would have liked to have seen maybe a climb towards the top of Minas Tirith, because we could see Gandalf and Pippin, of course, riding all the way to the top. Maybe some sort of challenges would have been cool, you know. And then also opening the door. That's also something you do in multiple Lego video games, where you have to open doors and just climb towers or something like that. It would have been pretty cool to have the hallway scene with Denethor looking at Boromir's ghost, and then also seeing Faramir standing there. That kind of stuff. But I get it's kind of dark. Yeah.
So it picks up immediately with the orcs and the trolls and everything beginning their attack on Minas Tirith. To fight back, they start catapulting pianos at the orcs, which is very funny. I appreciated that little bit of humor. There was a moment when they start breaking down the door, and a troll comes in and orcs come in, and Gandalf is saying like, fight with every last being for Gondor. And I thought it was going to cut to a playable moment where you play as Gandalf and Pippin, and you have to fight these orcs and this troll that have just broken through. And this is kind of when I realized, wow, you really don't play as Gandalf very much in the game. You play as him when you're fighting the Balrog, and they broke the Balrog up into two different like fight sequences. But other than that, you don't really, the way that like the story, if you're just playing the story version, obviously afterwards you can go back as free play, and you can choose to play as whatever character you want. But Gandalf, you don't really play as very much. And I just thought that was kind of odd and funny, because he's like one of the main characters. He's like one of the most recognizable characters from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, indeed. It's quite strange also mentioning Gandalf, because later on in the movie we see the scene where the Witch King of Angmar comes on the Fell Beast, and then he's like he says, of course, the famous quote, "Do you not know death when you see it, old man?" And then suddenly he says, "This is my hour." And then with of course the sword and the flames and such. I think it's strange that they of course they I believe they included it in the game, right? I'm not sure within the cutscene, if I recall it correctly, but
I don't remember. I don't remember. I feel like we don't see too much of we just don't see too much of Gandalf having these big action moments aside from the Balrog.
Exactly. And then
But so they break through, and where I thought it was going to cut to a playable moment, it instead cut to the Rohirrim arriving. Theoden does his, big important speech that is really iconic as, fans of the movies. And this is something that in the movie I wondered, and they kind of made it happen in the game, the thing where he's giving the speech and then he goes along the front line of riders with his and like taps his sword against everyone's spears. And I was like, would that not break some of the spears? And that actually happens in the game. Yeah. Some of the Lego soldiers, their spears get cut in half and they kind of look at each other and they're like,
Yeah. Yeah, these Lego games that really have a lot of humor in them, and that's also something I wanted to talk about. It's also fun that we see Eowyn with the mustache on her head. That's
my gosh, yes.
To just disguise herself. Yeah, that's also just with the Lego games, the attention they paid to those small little details. It's crazy with regards all to the spirits. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. So then we see, Eowyn and Mary together. And yes, Eowyn, she has her helmet on, but yeah, they did the added step of putting a mustache on the helmet, which is just even funnier. Oh, it's so funny. I love that joke so much. And so, then the battle begins. You're playing as Eowyn riding the horse, and it does this thing. It did this in at the end of the Battle of Helm's Deep level, where you're kind of following them running through the battlefields, but you don't really have much control over what you're doing because the horse, it's just automatically running you forward through the battlefield. And you can control where you go, like side to side, but things are coming up so quickly that you can't be it's like so hard to get the right reaction times to be like, oh, there's a blue stud, let me go over there and get it, because by the time you see the blue stud, you've already passed it. And so there were things that I would pass by and action item would pop up where it would say like press B, but by the time I saw to press B, it was already gone. So the game did this, I think like maybe 2 or 3 times in the whole game, where you're following someone. It's a really fast paced sequence, but you don't really have much control over what's happening. And just not a part of the game that I enjoyed very much.
Yeah, I think we're gonna return to that soon enough with I believe the Mount Doom level, right? But we'll get to that soon.
That happens there too. Yeah. Exactly. So there's a cutscene where a mouse scares one of the oliphaunts, which again, I thought that was very funny. And the elephant falls over and makes Eowyn and Mary fall off their horse. Then the Witch King comes in and attacks Theoden, and I can't remember if this happens in the movie, but this is book accurate, where the horse falls on top of Theoden.
Yes, that's movie accurate. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I just couldn't remember exactly what it looked like in the movie. But this is a book accurate detail that I was like, wow, that's really great. That like, and there are some instances in the game that they really glossed over, or they got something completely wrong and you're like, why did you do that? And then there are other parts that, again, they have this like little attention to detail that you're like, that's strange. Then you begin your battle with the Witch King. And I was very worried going into this, because so far the game has really made a joke of Eowyn. They've taken away a lot of her dialogue, and in moments in the movies where she actually says something, they just have her like huff or like sigh or something. And so I was like, oh no, are they going to do something weird with the battle? But it was really cool. I thought it was really well done. The first thing you have to do is you fight against the beast. And then once you defeat the beast, the Witch King jumps off and you fight him personally. It's very funny because obviously from the movies and in like any other adaptation other than Lego, the Witch King is massive and is like looming over top of our characters. But being Lego, he's the same size as Eowyn. He's still just like a little Lego man. So it's very funny when you see like the size is the same.
Yeah, and also with his big flail, I think it's quite nice that was featured in the game. And then of course you have to the battle the Witch King. But there's a fun story about this scene, which occurred to me anyways back in the day, and also to some other people, I believe, on YouTube. But there was this glitch where you could battle the Witch King of Angmar, and then suddenly he wouldn't sort of attack you, so you couldn't progress further in the story. And it was really annoying, but somehow it sometimes just sort of figured itself out and you could continue playing. But yeah, I was stuck in that level for a couple of minutes because I had to restart the game. So that's yeah, games have glitches, unfortunately.
Yep. I did have, so as much as I liked this part of the battle, I did have some moments of frustration.
Oh.
Don't get me wrong. I got very frustrated because you have to position yourself and the Witch King just right. And you have to get him to hit the flail and it gets stuck in one particular spot. And if you don't have him in the right, like, distance away from you where you're standing on that spot, then it won't work. And that took me, it took me a while to get it just right. I'm writing to Lego at this minute. This should not be this impossible. Are you kidding me? So that was very frustrating. At one point, Eowyn is being attacked, and then you have to switch to Mary for Mary to go in, just like it happens in the story, where he stabs the Witch King once, and then that is what allows Eowyn to go in and deal, that final blow. Yeah,
that was a interesting scene as well, with Mary falling over and Eowyn, of course, finally saying something in the game. So that's
yes,
that's
I am
cool.
no man, and then stabbing him. Yes. I should mention that, by the way, the whole time you're doing this battle, Theoden is in the background and he's stuck under his horse and his little body is wiggling.
That's also a funny detail in the game day.
Yes. Even funnier moment. So then it's a cutscene afterwards where Eowyn goes to check on Theoden and he says, "My body is broken." Now, Lego took that literally because she picks up his torso piece and Mary is on the other side of the horse and he picks up his leg pieces. And I screamed. I was laughing. It just really took me by surprise because all of a sudden, like, she's holding his upper body and he's still talking and delivering these lines. It was very funny.
My body is broken.
Oh my god! Oh my god! It is so unhinged! Oh my god! It was so perfect because they didn't have to do any extra work because the literal line is, "My body is broken."
Yeah, that's really just a literal approach to that line.
Yep. So then we have a cutscene with Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli arriving with the Ghost Army. And then you have to fight the oliphaunts. And this is where I almost rage quit a Lego game.
Oh.
Oh my god. I shot that! Okay. We are looking up a tutorial.
Ow.
Because so in this sequence, you have these elephants and they don't stop. So they keep moving around the scene. And one of them, you can just go over and fight with Aragorn's sword and, like, break their leg and then they run off or something. The other one has these points on his knees that you're supposed to shoot with Legolas's arrows, and then he can jump up and swing around and get on top and defeat the guys who are up there. But I could not get, because it's a moving target, so you're trying to shoot this moving target, and then anytime I pause to try and aim and hit the right spots on the elephant, orcs or whatever the enemy is would come out and start attacking me. And so then I would be being attacked and I'm trying to shoot these very particular points on the elephant and I'm being attacked and I'm being killed. And this is a level that I think would have been really helpful if you were doing it as 2-player, because then you could have one person fighting off the orcs and the bad guys or whatever. And then you can just focus in on, okay, I need to shoot the right spots with the arrow. So that was frustrating. And then I couldn't, so the elephant's moving around. I'm trying to shoot the right spots. And then when you shoot the right spots, I'm trying to run over and jump up and it took a while for me to finally get this part of the level done.
Yeah, I had the same back in the day. That was really in my early days of The Lord of the Rings when the theme just released. I was also playing this level, and then it was kind of hard to shoot the targets. Yeah, we all struggle with that, I believe. So
okay, good. I'm glad I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Once you when you finally do it successfully, it's the really cool, moments from the movie where Legolas is swinging around and doing all this cool stuff, and he, jumps up and kills all the bad guys up top, and then he slides down, and then you hear Gimli's dialogue from the movie. That still only counts as one.
That's also a trophy, right? I believe for the video game. Yeah, I was a trophy hunter back in the day, so getting I believe on PlayStation you had the platinum trophy if you got 100% complete, something like that.
Oh, I have no idea. Okay. I've been playing this on my Wii from, I think that was bought Wii. In like the year 2007.
Wow, those graphics must hurt your eyes with the Lego Lord of the Rings.
It's crazy.
I remember.
Crazy, yeah. Yeah, so when you finally, so you take down these 2 oliphaunts, and then like 3 more come in, and then finally the battle's done. And so then everyone kind of like catches up again. They find Mary finds Mary. Who's it? Gandalf and Pippin. That's it. Gandalf and Pippin are reunited with everyone, and Aragorn, says we need to go create a diversion. Gimli says, small chance of success, high certainty of death. What are we waiting for?
Yeah, that's an interesting scene as well, because within the movie, I believe this also was an extended edition scene. I'm not sure, because I grew up with the extended edition, basically. Mm-hmm. I never watched the theatrical one. So if anyone's listening, don't watch the regular one, just do extended. That's when you're a fan. But with regards to this scene in the movie, it actually took place within the Hall of Minas Tirith, of course. So I thought it was a bit weird just displaying.
Yeah, they're outside, just kind of like finding each other on the battlefield and then being like, okay, let's keep going, I guess.
Yeah.
I understand that like the game developers are just trying to move things along as quickly as possible. So they're and also part of it is that like in between Pelennor Fields ending and them having that conversation, in the hall, there's a lot of like healing going on. There's, kind of recovering from that battle that's happening. And a lot of that can be very like sad for, our characters that we care about. And so it being a kid's game, they don't want anyone to be scared or concerned for the well-being of these characters. So they're just like, they're going to have a little strategy conversation on the battlefield. And
just go from this battlefield to the next one.
Exactly.
Also, something interesting, because we're talking about Lego Lord of the Rings here. It's quite strange that Lego has never released an Oliphant set or an Orc battle pack for Minas Tirith, or even Minas Tirith itself has never been made into a set.
Minas Tirith would be a really great set. Like that is there's so many things that are so iconic from Lord of the Rings that would be really great Lego sets. But yeah, Minas Tirith would be really cool.
Oh yeah. There's also, I believe that this is something I discovered on my live stream. I was just placing a sticker on a piece from the new Rivendell set. And there's this sticker where you can see a map of Middle Earth. And I believe you could see the Tower of Orthanc, the Tower of Barad-dûr. So with the Eye of Sauron, that's Barad-dûr. And then also something shaped like Minas Tirith and Rivendell. So that might be a tease to some future UCS Lego sets.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Also, that's really funny that they're able to put that much detail into like
Yeah.
a little sticker of a map.
Yeah, it's just it can't be a coincidence, right? That they feature Rivendell and then all of those other locations on that little map. It should just be a sort of sneak peek to the new sets. It needs to be. I mean, I hope so.
Yeah, that would be so fun. Yeah. Kind of speaking of extended edition,
Yeah.
so the next level is the Black Gates battle. And I thought that we were going to fight the Mouth of Sauron.
Oh, yeah.
The Mouth of Sauron scene is an extended edition scene. It's left out of the theatrical release. I don't know if this is the official reason or not, but I think my theory is that they made this only an extended edition scene and it's not in the theatrical version because Aragorn beheads the Mouth of Sauron and it's like very suddenly violent. And so I feel like they maybe were dealing with some like ratings issues, and so they cut out they cut out the Saruman scene at the very beginning of Return of the King. That's only in the extended edition because he also dies very violently. And then the Mouth of Sauron. But the game has the Lego game has actually been including a lot of moments that are only in the extended edition. So I was wondering, maybe the Mouth of Sauron will be our, kind of like boss that we fight in this level. That doesn't happen. We just see, Aragorn commanding the forces of Mordor to come out and confront them. And then it cuts to him delivering yet another, iconic speech moment from the movies. It always just kind of makes me laugh, though, that we're watching these really intense, dramatic moments, but with Legos delivering it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun to see. But as well with the Mouth of Sauron, it would have been really cool to see this boss fight, but then in a Lego way. Because I mean, Lego is a kids game, and even with the death of King Theoden, they came up with quite
they made it very funny. Yeah,
exactly. So they could have done that with, of course, the battle scene with Mouth of Sauron. That would have been pretty fun. Just a
I think so too.
Way.
Yeah. The battle starts and you play as Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas, and you are fighting a troll, and he's just kind of like walking around to different, like first you hit him, you hit him 3 times in, the same way or whatever. And then he'll run over to one side of the battleground and then you go over there and fight him. So you do that a few times. There are certain things that you have to trade off between each of the 3 characters to do. You have to switch over to Legolas because he has targets on his arms that you have to shoot off. You have to switch over to Gimli so that he can climb in this little hobbit hole thing that takes you up to a higher ledge so you can attack. They did a good job of making you alternate between the characters rather than just like playing as Aragorn,
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Exactly, with the as well. Also, there's this interesting and also annoying scene where you can fight in the middle of the battle scene, and there's a couple of orc archers in the background, I believe, on these sort of wooden towers, really small. But you can shoot these down. It's, I believe, 5 of them, if I'm correct. But then you can also get a mini kit in both story mode and free play. So that's pretty interesting.
Oh yeah. I was really not very thorough with this playthrough of trying to get those, hidden things, and which I'll talk about when we get to the very end of the last level. But yeah, I missed a lot of those things, or I would start it and it would say, like 3 out of 5, and then I just could never. I would either forget about the other ones or I couldn't find the other, remaining 2 that are in the level. So I didn't do a good job. With this level, I was also probably just like, just kill the trolls. Let's get this going.
Yeah, it's already hard enough just sometimes to fight all the bosses. And with regards to the mini kits, sometimes you also need these special minifigures. Like, for example, I believe the Berserker from the Battle of Helm's Deep, the guy who runs in with the torch and blows up the wall. He has this sort of bomb which you need to throw on these mithril wall pieces, and then you can also get mini kits, but that's something for free play. basically.
Oh, yeah. The mithril walls I had been seeing
Yeah,
throughout, and I'm like, okay, obviously there's going to be a different character I can play as eventually. And
exactly.
I was thinking, like, maybe this is a magical thing, and I have to come back as Saruman and like use my staff or something. So I probably never would have made the connection that I needed to unlock this, character. Also, that's so funny that like they give this very random, minor character,
Yeah.
orc character, a playable element that you have to use for some parts.
Yeah, it's pretty fun as well with Sam, of course, using his elfish rope to climb some of the sections from the game, and then there's of course Aragorn with the sword of Narsil, with which you can, I believe, destroy those black and translucent
Yeah, they're called
red.
I think they're called Morgul
Yeah, Morgul
Legos. Yeah.
Lego bricks stuff. Yeah, that kind of.
Mhm. Um, Towards the end of the battle, I don't think it's meant to be the Witch King and his beast, but it's the exact same mechanic where a black rider shows up on a
Yeah.
fell beast. And I'm like, but we just defeated you. We just killed you. Why are you here? Why are you back? Because I thought the whole thing with, and I could be misremembering here, but I thought it was just the Witch King that had that beast, and that was what made him, kind of the big baddie. Is he gets to have this creature and the other riders don't. But yeah, you fight another one of these fell
Yeah.
beasts.
Yeah, that's actually quite interesting because in the Battle of Minas Tirith, there is a bunch of the fell beasts and also the Nazgul on top of them,
Oh,
flying
okay.
in and destroying the catapult. So every single Nazgul has a fell beast, basically.
Okay,
So,
yeah. So,
yeah,
okay, that's just me misremembering then. Yeah, but it
no
was
problem.
I was like, but we just fought you. How are you back?
Yeah, yeah, I get that. It's sort of a weird boss also because
Yeah.
I don't really remember someone fighting a fell beast in the movie at the
Yeah,
Black
so
Gate.
this is I think this level is also kind of complicated by the fact that in the movie, the original plans for the Black Gates battle is that a embodiment of Sauron was going to come
Yeah,
out and Aragorn was going to be fighting him. But when they were editing it, or when they're putting things together later on, it just was not coming together the way that they wanted it to. And it wasn't, they didn't want this battle to take away from what Frodo and Sam are doing. So that's how Aragorn ended up fighting that troll. Watching the movie, it felt very random to me that it's like, why is this one troll singling out Aragorn?
yeah.
Like, it felt weird to have this big climactic battle, and then our hero is fighting this just random beast rather than the mouth of Sauron, or rather than, Sauron himself. So I think that's why this part of the game also feels a little bit random, because they kind of have to be like, well, who are we going to fight? Okay,
Yeah,
we'll fight some
exactly.
trolls. We'll fight a Nazgul and some fell beasts.
Yeah. Yeah, that scene with Aragorn fighting the troll as well. There's also some beautiful music playing along there. That's we can't ignore that. The music of the Lord of the Rings, perfection. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun playing the game because you have this really beautiful score is in the background the whole time that you're playing it. So it is
Yeah.
really nice. Even if you're stuck on a part, at least you have some nice music in the background.
Exactly. That's the best part of Lord of the Rings, music.
This level and the battle kind of ends kind of similarly to how the chapter in the book ends, where the battle just kind of like fades to black as the eagles are arriving. So it's a cutscene and you see Gandalf looking in the distance, and the eagles are coming in, and Pippin is shouting, "The eagles are here, the eagles are here." And then it kind of, like, we know that it's not over yet, because obviously it's not going to end until Frodo and Sam destroy the ring. And in the movie, they can have these two things happening simultaneously, because it's very easy to cut back from the battle to Frodo and Sam. And so they can happen at the same time. But obviously in a game, when you're having these separated into different levels, you have to end the level eventually. So I thought it was nice that like they kind of just did what happened in the books for how to end this level.
Yeah, really a clever way to just close off this chapter, and I mean move on to the next one, of course, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and the most, the most climactic, the thing we've been waiting the whole story to do. So the Mount Doom level starts with, obviously Frodo is in a very weakened state. And when you start playing as him, he's actually so weakened that he is floppy and he's like wiggling and like falling over basically. And it's very funny to see this because a Lego is something that is not floppy.
Oh yeah.
Like he has wiggly arms and stuff, and like Legos don't have curves, they're straight lines. So it was very funny to see that. And he also, as you're playing the level, he can't jump. Basically the only things he is capable of doing is he can pull out his items. I think he can, if you pull out Sting, I think you can like hit a few things, but he can't jump. So you mostly play as Sam, and you have to create a clear pathway for Frodo to just be able to walk and follow you as you're moving along.
Yeah. Honestly, this was, for me, one of the most annoying parts of the game.
Yeah.
Just sometimes I fell in the lava. It was just so annoying.
Oh, I did that so many times. It's so frustrating. So frustrating, especially because then you hear Sam scream, and then the Lego breaking sound effect happens, and you lose all of your, studs and everything. And yeah, it's so frustrating. This part of the level ends with the cutscene where Frodo's like, I don't remember anything of the Shire, and Sam is trying to encourage him, and then eventually says, I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you.
Yeah.
And he picks up Frodo and puts him on his back, and they start walking up Mount Doom together. And then this is when Gollum comes in and says, clever hobbitses to climb so high. And then you get split up as Sam and Frodo, and you're separated by this, river of lava. And then you have to go back and forth as Sam and Frodo, just throwing a rock at Gollum. And then eventually Frodo runs off on his own and goes inside the Crack of Doom.
This was also just, for me, basically as a kid, I played this game, and this boss fight also was a bit frustrating.
Yeah.
That's what I remember from it. I wasn't happy with this level, even though I like the movie regarding this level was just sometimes a bit tough to beat. But the next scene.
Oh, interesting. Because I actually ended up really liking this level. I felt like they did a good job of like, it didn't go on too long.
Yeah.
For me, it was just the right amount of Sam having to, create a path for Frodo to follow. The fight with Gollum was kind of annoying, just because it felt like, just get on with it. Like, let's just keep going, But I really liked this part where they made this battle for the ring between Frodo and Gollum a lot more, more of like an actual fight, rather than just a quick moment. Oh yeah. So inside the Crack of Doom, Frodo puts on the ring, and then Gollum pops up behind Sam and hits him over the head with a flower pot, and knocks him out. And then in this part of the level, you have to play as Frodo and Sam, and you switch off. And Frodo is in the ring world, and Sam is, in the real world. And you have to, when you're Frodo, you have to throw Gollum off of you, and then you switch over to Sam, and then you fight Gollum, and then you both get knocked over the edge. And then Gollum scuttles back up and goes to attack Frodo. And then Sam, you like piece together ledges to climb back up. And so that happens 3 times. And each time you move a little bit closer to the very edge of the little cliff thing. And to me, I felt like that was them, building up to this moment that I think they know that we know is coming. There's probably not too many people who are playing the Lego Lord of the Rings game and haven't seen the movies before. So you're playing this level and you know what's going to happen when you reach the edge of this cliff thing that's jutting out. fight off Gollum a few times, both as Frodo and Sam. And then the cutscene where Gollum, this is what I predicted was going to happen. And I'm so glad it did. Gollum, instead of bite, Lego figures don't have fingers. They just have the like C-shaped hand. And so Gollum just pulls Frodo's hand off to get the ring, and then he takes the ring and like throws the hand back at Frodo, and then Frodo just pops his hand back on.
Yeah, that's an interesting scene again with the Lego humor. I'm happy that they opted for removing the hand instead of doing something like an illegal building technique type of thing, because I believe there must have been some person in the world crazy enough to break Frodo's hand, actually break it, and then remove this piece from it. That would have been a bit too weird to do within this game. I mean, we got to keep it Lego. So yeah, that's really
yeah, we got to keep it with the physics of Lego and how Lego pieces actually work. And then also we got to keep it, humorous. And rather than, Frodo being in severe pain and missing a finger and he's bleeding profusely, he's okay. He put his hand right back on. He's fine.
Yeah, he just built himself back up.
Yeah. Frodo tackles Gollum and pushes him over the edge, and Gollum falls into the lava and the ring sinks down into it as well. When Sam reaches over the edge to pull Frodo up, he says, "Give me your hand." And I really thought that Frodo was going to throw his hand piece.
Right. Yeah.
Up the top, up to the top of the cliff, and Sam would be like, "No!"
That would have been something for Lego to do. Yeah.
Just like in the movie, we cut back to the Black Gates and we see, the bad guys being destroyed, the kind of like earth falling away. We see the destruction of the Tower of Barad-dûr, and the Eye of Sauron is destroyed. Outside the Crack of Doom, there isn't very little. There's very little time that we're left with Frodo and Sam just like standing there despairing, surrounded by lava like we are in the movie. Like we're with them for a few moments where we really think they're gonna die, and Sam is like, I'll never get to see the Shire again, I'll never get to see Rosie Cotton, and all these things. And Frodo says, "I'm glad you're here with me, Sam, at the end of all things." All that's pretty sad and dark, so they just kind of gloss over that, and Frodo just says, "It's done." And then we see the eagles coming in to save them. And Gandalf is piloting one of them, and he has a little like pilot hat and goggles on. It was very fun.
Yeah, Lego humor. Basically also something which we addressed earlier with the fast parts of the level.
Oh, right. Oh, that's right. I completely forgot. Yeah,
you running out.
Yeah, you do play as Sam and Frodo running out of the Crack of Doom. And it, again, is that really fast-paced thing where you're trying to move from side to side to get the coins and, all this stuff. But it's so fast-paced that, like, you don't really have time to react. And then all of a sudden it's over. So
yeah, there's also a mini kit I believe inside of Mount Doom still, where you have to jump up to the right side of the screen, and there's this mini kit in the air. So it's pretty hard.
Totally missed that. Yeah,
it's easy to miss. Definitely, it took me like 2 tries to get that, so it's pretty hard to get that mini kit.
The hobbits are rescued, and then we just immediately cut to Aragorn's coronation. Gandalf crowns Aragorn, and Aragorn looks really stressed and nervous, and he kind of like wipes his brow and he goes, "Whew, like, glad that's over and done with, I guess."
Yeah.
Arwen is just kind of inexplicably there. I've mentioned a couple times that they have I think I've said, they completely cut Arwen out, but that's not true. You do play as her very briefly when you're saving Frodo from the Morgul blade. You play as her so briefly, just in between levels, like going from wherever they are, from Weathertop to Rivendell, and she's on the horse. And there is a cutscene with Arwen and the Nazgul, but other than that, she does not exist in the game. So it's very funny. I was wondering, I was like, is she gonna make an appearance at the end of the game, or, you know, anything like that? So we do see her. She's standing on the stairs, I think next to Elrond, and they're all clapping. Faramir is also kind of like inexplicably there. And I say inexplicably because in this universe, we have not seen him since the end of Two Towers, because they cut all of the Denethor stuff out. So the last time we saw Faramir, he was kind of being a jerk, and then, you know, changed his mind at the last minute and let the hobbits go. And then they did something that I just really hate, because I'm a huge fan of Faramir and I'm a huge fan of Eowyn. So Faramir looks at Eowyn and kind of like gives her, kind of like wiggles his eyebrows and smiles at her and is like, heh. And then Eowyn scoffs at him, kind of like crosses her arms and then looks away from him and is like, This makes Faramir look like a creep, and it also goes completely against the lore, which is that Faramir and Eowyn marry. They made the developers made the active decision that Eowyn was going to, it could have been a thing where like they both like smile at each other, and like that's a fun little Easter egg for Lord of the Rings fans, that we're like, oh, we know what that smile means. But they did the complete opposite of what happens in the lore. So this was such a brief moment that just really upset me.
That's pretty strange. I don't remember that particular moment, but
again,
I mean,
like I said, it was brief.
Yeah, I mean, in the movie as well, they looked nicely at each other.
Yeah, they just kind of look and smile, and they do have a scene together in the extended edition. Yeah, but it is brief as well. Yeah,
that's a nice Easter egg.
Then Aragorn turns to everyone and says, "This day does not belong to one man, but to all." And then he bows, and everyone bows at the hobbits. There's a funny moment where Pippin also bows, and then Merry kind of like taps him on the shoulders, like, no, like they're bowing to us. And we zoom in, you know, on Frodo looking very touched by the gesture. And then this is where the story in the game ends. It ends with everyone bowing to Frodo, and I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh wow, so we're not even gonna go back to the Shire. Like there's a lot that
well, there's something you should definitely play that. I don't think you have, because of what I'm hearing, but you can travel back to the Shire after completing the game. You go to Bag End, and then it initiates a cutscene where you go to Rivendell with the boat, and just the end scene of the movie, with everyone saying goodbye. And there's also this nice little Easter egg where you can see Boromir's ghost also waving at Frodo.
That's so funny. Okay, maybe I'll go back and do that. Yeah. Because after this part in the game, the credits roll. Exactly. And I was like, oh, well, maybe they'll continue with like one more cutscene after the credits or something. But when the credits end, it dumps you back into Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're just in the free play portion now, and that's the end of the story. So just following and completing the story, I only got 25% completion of the game.
Wow, there is a lot of stuff.
So there's so much more to go back and do. Yeah. So I did like run around a little bit in Minas Tirith and unlocked a couple puzzles, and there's a like whack-a-mole type of little mini game that you do. But at this point I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm done with the story. That's really crazy. So only 25%. Obviously, as I've mentioned throughout these episodes, there are moments in the levels where, you know, you're playing as Sam and Frodo, but then you see a target, and obviously you can come back as Legolas later on in the free play and be these characters in these settings that they're not usually in, and unlock all these puzzles and hidden Easter eggs and treasures and trophies and everything. However, I probably I probably won't be doing that because, again, I've been playing on my Wii, and the Wii controls are, I mean, like, after, you know, playing with different controllers over the years, it's hard going back to the Wii controller. But I probably won't go back and, you know, find the Easter eggs and, you know, keep playing in my free time. Just like, once again, if this was something that was on the Switch, I probably would, just because for ease of access, you know. Yeah. So I guess this is just my final plea with Nintendo. Release it on the Switch, or I guess Lego. I have to talk to the Lego people. Release it on a modern console. Let's do it.
That would be a lot better. Well, of course, there's the case for the Lego The Hobbit game, which is released on the Wii U, I believe, and some other consoles. So that hopefully would be easier to play.
Yeah, maybe a little more updated, maybe a little less glitches.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully, yeah. Theoretically, but I mean, I still hear from people who play, you know, Lego games that were released more recently that there are still there are still glitches and still, you know, a couple bugs here and there. So
too many.
Yeah. And then also, as we're recording this, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is coming out in 6 days. So there's no way I'm playing any other video game other than that. So
all right.
That is the Lego Lord of the Rings video game. It was very fun for me to kind of like go back through. You know, I've been doing this podcast for 3 years now, and it's fun to kind of like go back through the story in a different way, in a more comical way. It's fun to kind of like relive some like childhood memories of playing video games like this, and then being really frustrated, or moments that like you just cannot win and you have to close out of the level and come back later. So in general, I had a pretty enjoyable experience with this game.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, the game really captures the movie well, and also has, I believe, a couple of scenes where you can see some minifigures which haven't been made in Lego, as well as a bunch of sets.
Yeah, there's so many characters that as you're playing, it'll, you know, you'll finish a level and it'll say that you unlocked Frodo parentheses weekend.
Yeah.
So you're playing as like the Mordor version, which is different from Frodo parentheses orc disguise. So there's so many different figures that they character designs that they created for this.
Yeah, awesome minifigures. And then as well as the design for Helm's Deep, which you can see in free play. You can also walk around in Helm's Deep within the keep and on the deeping wall, all that kind of stuff. That's really something that if you're gonna visit the free roam one day, you should definitely check out just the locations one by one and try to simulate some of the scenes from the movie. You know, that's what I did as a kid anyway, back in the day, you know. So yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on and chatting about this little video game, you know, 10 years after it came out. People are still, you know, playing and enjoying it. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on YouTube mainly. That's just my platform where I post videos and I just make Lord of the Rings content as well as some Star Wars and such. But Lord of the Rings is my main gig with regards to creating mocks. And then you can also find me on Instagram, and I do believe on TikTok, but I don't really post too much on there. But yeah, YouTube is my main thing. So just BrickLi on YouTube. Yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. Listeners, all of that, as always, will be linked in the episode description. So if you are a Lego head, go check that out, especially if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, because you do a lot of really cool, specific Lord of the Rings stuff. Yeah. That's What I'm Talking About's cover art is by Vaishon Brandon. You can support him on Instagram at Vaishon Designs. Also, side note, Vaishon is such an amazing creator and designer that he just recently won a local award for design. So that's how good he is. Seriously, if you ever want any design work done personally, professionally, reach out to him and he'll create something really awesome for you. You can get merch for That's What I'm Talking About by going to tpublic.com/user/talkingaboutpod. You can follow the podcast on social media at talkingaboutpod, and you can follow me on Twitter and TikTok at MCWatsup and on Instagram at MCTurndownforWhat. If you want to support the podcast, you can become a patron. Go to patreon.com/talkingaboutpod to explore the different levels of support that are available. Hopefully by the time you're listening to this episode, there's a new newsletter out with, again, exciting announcements about the future of this podcast. So if you want to be in the know before the rest of people, that's so general, before the rest of humanity, become a member of any level tier. I love all of you, but especially our brand new sponsor, Ian. Ian, thank you so much for becoming a patron and wanting to support That's What I'm Talking About. It means so much that you want to support the extremely important academic work that is going on here at That's What I'm Talking About, where we give a in-depth 5-part analysis to the Lego Lord of the Rings video game. It's important work that I'm doing, and I'm just so glad to finally be recognized. But seriously, Ian, thank you so much for your support. That means a lot to me. Again, thanks for coming on. Do you have any parting words for the audience?
I'd say we should just honor this episode with the smile of Frodo at the end of the Return of the King, where he smiles at the camera.
And that's what I'm talking about.